Hello, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle, the Sunday show, the Super Sunday show. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome here. Yes, Arsenal Battle of the Bridge ends 1-1. One Martinelli goal cancelled out by a Pedro Neto goal moments after the first goal. About 10 minutes apart. 60 minutes from Martinelli and 70 minutes from Pedro Neto. And yeah, the one time we let our cover in midfield drop. Havertz didn't cover Enzo. The pass was laid off to Pedro Neto, and he fitted it over the thigh of Gabriel, between Gabriel and Timber, and into the corner of the net. A little bit like a Kevin De Bruyne goal a few years ago at the Etihad. So yeah, listen. Speaking of the Etihad, I'm going to take Erling Haaland's advice and stay humble here. Arsenal remain 9 points behind Liverpool, and I think it's 4 points behind City right now. And definitely it's been advantage Liverpool. It's been advantage Liverpool the last 2 weekends. But there's a long way to go in this season, and I'm waiting for Brady to get in the house. I have to say, right now, Arsenal are not in the title race, 9 points behind. But in saying that, there is a long way to go in this league season, and you're just going to have to take it week by week here. So welcome to the house here. Russ Morgan in the house. Evening, Ray and chat. Thanks for being here, Russ, as always, checking in. I know you have lots of choices post-Arsenal games. There's lots of podcasts, so thanks for coming over here, Russ. Really appreciate that. Mr. Tom, who would pick Ipswich to win at Spurs? You would, but you've been picking Ipswich for every game, Mr. Tom. And look, I'm going to throw up a little bit of where we are right now in the upset picks. I would say Alonso has shot up the table in consecutive weeks by picking the team that Manchester City have been playing. So kudos to Alonso. But here's the update. Tom, you got 11 points today with that result. Tottenham being very Tottenham, and Ipswich Town grabbing a 2-1 win there. And, if you think somebody like Arsenal and Mikel Arteta is coming under pressure, look around the league. Ange Postecoglou, he's under pressure at Tottenham. Unai Emery, he's under pressure at Aston Villa, having lost a few games, 3 or 4 games on the bounce. Pep Guardiola is under pressure with Man City. These teams are letting Liverpool get a head start on us. And look, there's a long way to go. Liverpool have played a lot of their big games. A lot of the big teams that they've played at Anfield. They've played Nottingham Forest. They've played Villa, Chelsea, Brighton, and Bournemouth. All of those at home. The only away games that they've played have been at the Emirates, where we were hampered and hamstrung by the Saliba sending off and some other injuries when we played Liverpool. So Arsenal's season has been one of late goals conceded. And if you want to talk about tonight as well, Pedro Neto, late goal conceded. We are 9 points behind Liverpool now, and I thought this was a good performance today against Chelsea in a difficult place to go to. Now let's put it into context. Away from home so far, Arsenal have played Aston Villa and won there. They've played Tottenham and won at Tottenham. Then it started to slow down against Manchester City with a draw, and a couple of defeats more recently against Bournemouth and Newcastle, notwithstanding. And today we have a Chelsea draw away from home as well. Notice today that Nottingham Forest were slowed down also by Newcastle. So who picked up points here against Newcastle? Tony and Stan picked up 8 points as well for that Newcastle win. So yeah, Alonso picking up points for Brighton, upset. So I said on Thursday night this was going to be a good weekend of fixtures. Some good football. Started out on Saturday with Wolves and Southampton. You got to get some of the draws out of the way first, right? And West Ham, Everton, boring game. I thought Brentford and Bournemouth would be a high scoring game. 5 goals shared there. Emile Smith Rowe. We got some money for Emile Smith Rowe, but Arsenal fans will be looking and saying there's a decent player that we let go for about 30 million. Emile Smith Rowe popping up with Fulham beating Crystal Palace. Brighton were brave in the second half, went at Manchester City, and that seems to be the way of things for Manchester City this season. The air of invincibility has gone away from them a little bit with the Rodri injury in particular. Liverpool taking on Aston Villa, and Aston Villa playing some very loose football, allowing Liverpool to break on them. So that's another team that Liverpool have dispatched at Anfield. I feel like Liverpool's form at home will be very strong, and the key to the season now will be how they fare away from home in the away fixtures, especially the 8 or 9 fixtures that they have to face away from home. But of course, Arsenal are the only team that face these kinds of narratives when it comes to their season. Pundits and media seem to minimize the issues at Aston Villa, the issues at Man City, and yes, Arsenal have gone through a tough period now. I feel like, though, I did say when Rudy was here last week that to be in this title race, we needed to win today, and we needed to win at Nottingham Forest when Nottingham Forest visit us on the 23rd of November, I believe it is. Tom said, this is the only place to be on a Sunday night after an Arsenal game. And on the flip side, after this podcast, go check out Mr. Tom. He will be reviewing Leeds' latest results as well. So with all that being said, Tom has catapulted himself to the top of the pile here on the upset picks. Tony is hanging in there at 36 points. I did not pick up any points this weekend, but I'm in third place. Alonso consecutive weekends picking against Man City has bore some fruit for him. Sam and Gary did not pick any winners today, and they went for Sam went for Crystal Palace along with me, and Gary picked Aston Villa. And finally, Stan has picked up some valuable points as well with 8 points alongside Tony for that Newcastle win. Mr. Tom said, I'm sure I was stone last a few weeks ago. You were not stone last, but you were in the bottom half of that table, of this particular table. So yeah, listen, as the Gooners join us here, and BX Gunner, thanks for being here as always. Really appreciate it. Let me know how you're feeling about this title race and the feeble, so far, the feeble run that Arsenal have put together in recent games. But it can continue. Our form can continue like this. And I feel like we put in a very good performance there today, you know. Looking at the recent run in the last 4, no wins in the last 4, 2 draws, 2 losses. And yeah, it's poor reading right now. If we want to get back to where we were last season, we have to boost 5 wins that we have so far into 28 wins. So, you know, we got how many? 27 more games to go, and we have to win. I'd like to win about 23 of them, 22, 23 of them. We've drawn far too many games so far as well. We have four draws as well to go alongside our record recently, and we had five draws last season. So, you know, we can only really we've got to win the majority of our games now moving forward. Now, in saying that, I think Nottingham Forest took a backward step today against Newcastle. They all credit to Nottingham Forest. They have played well so far, and they are in a position that they deserve to be in. They beat Liverpool, and they've backed it up with some good wins as well. However, losing today against Newcastle might represent might represent them fading back down into the lower reaches of the first half of the table, the top half of the table, and so that's become a huge game now after this international break. And I agree with you, BX. Going to focus on trying to win a trophy. Let's take a leaf from the page of Jurgen Klopp himself. And anytime you can't beat City to anytime you can't beat City to the title, Jurgen Klopp went and won a trophy. And so that's the thing that Arsenal have to focus on. We have a quarterfinal in the middle of next month. In December, we have a quarterfinal with Crystal Palace, a game that we have to win in the Carabao Cup in order to move forward into a semi-final. And then we're 2 games away from a final, in March, the Carabao Cup. And Arsenal fans, you can't have it both ways. You can't complain that we never focused on a domestic cup and then cry about it if Arsenal target a domestic cup. Now, also, Alonso, good on you. Hold up, or I am fixing to go to Jersey Mike's and I'll be on. Well, hopefully you can get in here in the next 45 minutes. But yeah, I'll be here until about 3:30, hopefully. If the chat can keep me going, that would be great. I can't see us win the league, but we need to stop dropping points. And BX Gunner said Sunday afternoon listening along with the 1992 classic Gladiator playing in the background. So thanks for being here. My voice on the background of Gladiator. Hopefully some of it matches up to make sense with the movie, right? People should understand and respect how difficult it is to talk to a camera on your own. It's not easy at all. Thanks, Mr. Tom. I definitely do better with a sidekick hanging with me, but I'll try and make the chat box we'll make the chat box my sidekick here. So going through today's game, Michael Oliver officiated, and overall, I thought Arsenal shaded this game and had the better of the chances in the end. And indeed, right at the end on the 95th minute, a great cross from the left from, I think, Trossard. No, it was a great cross in, I think, from Saliba. Trossard just getting a touch on it, trying to get it onto goal, and inadvertently that touch that he got onto it maybe took it out of the path of Kai Havertz to actually finish the game with a goal at his old stomping ground, Chelsea. Kai Havertz having the goal, an offside goal chalked off after, I think, 32 minutes in the first half. Marginal offside decision, but you could see it right away on the screen when they showed it. Definitely was an offside goal. Chelsea had an offside goal as well. The important thing today was, I think, amazingly Odegaard coming back and starting the game after it, just having a 10-minute run at Inter Milan. And for Odegaard to have lasted the whole game and be the inspiration for the goal that we scored, that's who we've been missing for much of the season. Our record before with Odegaard being out, we missed Odegaard for 7 Premier League games, winning just 3 of those games, drawing 2 and losing 2. So 11 points from possible 21 whilst Odegaard was out. The creative minutes from Odegaard was not filled completely by Emery, which is something that we wanted to happen with Ethan. Mikel Arteta overcame the absence of Odegaard in the early stages with different formations. But eventually, the lack of creativity caught up to us, and we sorely missed Odegaard being out injured for those 7 games. Before Odegaard got injured, the first 3 games we drew one and won 2 of those 3 games with 7 points. So the goals against also column has been pretty bad recently. With Odegaard being out, we've actually conceded 10 goals in 7 games. Whilst the first 3 games we conceded just the 1 goal to Brighton, and that was when we had a man down, when we were down the man. Mr. Tom said, will the international break be a blessing while the form hasn't been great, or do you believe more games sooner would fix that? Listen, it is what it is, Mr. Tom, and you just have to take it in stride. And maybe it might be a good thing. We had a solid performance here at Stamford Bridge against a Chelsea team that is finally looking to sort themselves out under Maresca, and a team that had been unbeaten since the opening weekend of the season at home. They've beaten a few decent teams here, Newcastle being one of them, and they beat Brighton as well, also at home. So decent results, and they've been picking up some decent results away from home. Gave Liverpool a very good game up at Anfield, losing 2-1. Look, I feel if Arsenal had played at the Emirates, we would have won this game as well. Fine margins, right? Fine margins. Mr. Thomas, you're right. I agree with you. From my perspective, this is a fine result. And I think the result will bear itself out in the fullness of the season. We're looking at 11 games here. We haven't even played all of the teams once just yet. We haven't even gone halfway through the season. So whilst I like to take stock and look at games after 10, look at the season after 10, 11 games, have to realize that the best marker for your season might be the halfway stage. And 9 points behind Liverpool. It's really, Liverpool have a lot of leeway to work with now. But they will play Man City. I mean, that's a result that you're looking for, maybe a draw right there. And both teams drop 2 points, and Arsenal can take advantage of that. And that's the first game in December. So yeah, from my perspective, this is a fine result. It's just coming on the back of a terribly difficult start to the season. Let's go through the WWDs here and the L's that are in here. Mr. Tom said, I've seen 12 points get overturned. This isn't insurmountable. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a situation where you actually don't worry about the gap of 9 points. You just go out each and every day and get the best result you possibly can. And that's what the players would have been doing today, put everything out of the minds and take this one game. As Gary always says, what's the most important game? The next game. But yeah, 14 points dropped with 4 draws here and 2 losses. It's a lot of points dropped, so we're going to have to put a lot of W's together like we did in the second half of last season. But yeah, let's start out. Wolverhampton Wanderers would beat them 2-0. Aston Villa away from home, we beat them 2-0. Then we had Brighton at home in a 1-1 draw. Tottenham away from home with a 1-0 win. After Tottenham comes that Man City draw, 2-2. We put it together a little bit, but not convincingly with the next 2 games, Leicester City and Southampton, 2 of the teams that got promoted. They made life slightly difficult for us at the Emirates, but we were able to come through and get 6 points. So, right up until the first loss here, we're looking like we're in decent shape, right? So it's just been these last 4 games where, maybe the players have gotten a little tired. Mikel Arteta has needed to bring in and use more players such as Jorginho, such as Miles Lewis-Skelly, such as Ethan Waneri. But yeah, the first loss then comes away to Bournemouth, and that comes with a price, as I said earlier, with William Saliba picking up that red card for a professional foul and a sending off. We take that Saliba absence into the next game where Liverpool come to the Emirates, and we're leading 2-1, and Liverpool looked like they're in some difficulty. But the back line of finishing back line of the likes of White, Kivior, Partey, and Zinchenko or Miles Lewis Skelly. Not a recognised back four that you would see. Sees Mo Salah getting the equaliser. And, in this game today against Chelsea, the commentators are talking about Cole Palmer being possibly the best player this season. Well, I would beg to differ. I would think Mo Salah right now is playing out of his skin. He's getting the benefit of playing at Anfield. Arne Slot has done a good job there. Something that Arsene Wenger did when he came in. He realized that he had a good team. That he didn't need to tinker with it too much. And Arne Slot has done the same things. He's and Mo Salah is playing for a contract right now. So that can be a dangerous player. A player who's playing for a contract and scoring goals and trying to persuade the club to, give him an improved contract so he can finish his career at Anfield. I happen to believe that the Liverpool club should stand firm and not give him that contract because we don't know what he's going to look like next season. But right now, Mo Salah for me is the best player in the league right now. And Cole Palmer, as Russ said, he tends to get goals and lots, but he also has a poor record against the top six teams. He doesn't really show up against the better teams. So that's a criticism of Cole Palmer. I thought Bukayo Saka played really well today as well. Just matching up with Cole Palmer here, Bukayo Saka had to leave the game injured, and we know that Bukayo Saka is quite durable and can overcome injury, but it's still slightly concerning when the player has to go off. Gabriel Jesus comes on in his place and doesn't do anything of real note. But Arsenal still held a threat today against Chelsea in the latter stages. It's 1-1, so a good advertisement for the game. I thought a 1-1 draw was not what we wanted, obviously. We wanted to win. But any game can be fraught with the possibility of losing as well. And it was a good advertisement for the game. Going away from home to Stamford Bridge was not going to be easy. So, yeah, the positives, Odegaard starting. Arteta now is unbeaten in 6 games away from home at Chelsea with 3 wins and 3 draws. And look, cast your mind back a few years when Arsenal were getting pasted away, especially away. But when we played the biggest teams, the top 6 teams, we couldn't win a game in 26. I think it was we didn't win any game in 26. And now Mikel Arteta's come in and he's made us a more solid force, more durable force, especially in the top against the top 6, where I can't remember the last time we were beaten by the top 6 team. Obviously, you remember like 3 or 4 seasons ago, maybe when Man City came to Arsenal and Rodri scored that winning goal on New Year's Day. So Alonso, I send you the link already. If you want to grab it, just let me know if you can or not. I did already send you the link. But yeah, listen, Arsenal away from home have been a strong force, especially against the top 6. So Alonso, let me know if that doesn't work for you. I'll send it to you, especially against the top 6. And So we've made a lot of progress, right? Um, okay, hold on a second, Alonso. I'll get that for you, okay? Nice. Hang tight, people. Be right back. Okay, Alonso, you should have the link now. Let me just double check for you as well that you have it, okay? Yeah. So listen, let me know your thoughts, people, in the chat box here. What you thought about today's game, what you're thinking about the season as well, and maybe Alonso, one of the original Schlags, will be joining me in a moment. Hello, Alonso, one of the OG Schlags.
I'll be at your sidekick side, I guess.
Let's be my sidekick. Come on.
Flag. And leave.
All right, Alonso. I mean, we wanted to win, right? We wanted to win today, but I hate when you say it wasn't to be, but it wasn't to be, right?
Yeah, it wasn't to be whenever Kai Havertz was caught off sides. And granted, it was marginal. But yeah, it was kind of unfortunate. Though, I think defensively we weren't that bad considering I think Kai Havertz got a lot of crap because he didn't defend the space that allowed Neto to score that goal, which kind of hurt.
Yeah.
And it's kind of disappointing because we all hate Chelsea. With that said, we were pretty much controlling the game. I guess we got some shots. We allowed them to get some shots back in the game, and it was a good shot to Neto's credit, but still, it kind of hurts knowing that we could have won that game.
I'd have to watch it back. But Enzo Martinez, I think it is, had just come on 67 minutes, and Neto goal comes on 70 minutes. So behind Kai Havertz, you would expect Declan Rice or Thomas Partey to be the next Shield, to be, the double pivot in midfield. Pepsi, there you go, promoted. The double pivot in midfield, you'd expect Neto to be meeting Declan Rice or Partey next. And the fact that it's Gabriel Magalhaes and Timber, who has to stand in front of Neto coming on to the ball. And you could just see it happening in that moment. I was like, no. I was like, no.
Yeah, because, you would expect at least take a shot with that amount of space. And, it's Kai Havertz's job originally positioning as a midfielder to at least attack that ball so it won't get, into the hands of Neto or Enzo Martinez. But that being said, Ray, whenever, Moreno came on and all that, you would assume that they would at least get control of midfield and slow things down. And, I think people have taken Partey for granted this year because he's been kind of solid. I know people say, well, he's getting older, he needs rest and all that, but he doesn't seem like he's slowing down much. But again, I think it's just the formation. I think Moreno still needs time to adjust. And if a ball gets through like that, it's a kind of worrying sign that you're having your striker play to the midfield,
Yeah. I think he just got pushed back into that position. Like I said, I'd have to see it again. I think some of the players that Rice and Partey were marking probably pulled them away from that gap, that pocket of space in midfield, just on the edge of the box as well. And Pedro Neto coming in off the wing. Um, that's something we'd like to see more of Bukayo Saka doing as well, coming in off the wing and finding some space centrally as well. Mr. Tom said Man City have lost 36% of their games since Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters told Arteta to stay
Yeah.
stay humble. Yeah, listen, I think we all have to stay humble in this world that we're living in. And listen, 9 points behind Liverpool, 4 points behind City. I think the first thing to do is we got to chase down City and overcome them and get ourselves into a position where we're in second place in this table. 9 points is going to take quite a few months to overcome now, Alonso.
Yeah, especially whenever us supporters had a lot of high hopes for this team. Granted, there was worrying signs whenever we didn't sign a striker. And you see it whenever Odegaard's missing or not playing because he's hurt. You see the drop off that our creative going forward is bad, and we can't create goals like that.
Creative
And
department
and,
for.
and yeah, and I think as fans, we kind of tend to, well, Odegaard's not playing, therefore we're doomed. And I think you're starting to see that where Trezard is struggling to get a pass in or get a goal in, because he's so used to coming off the bench and scoring goals
Yeah,
that he's lost now. And granted, Martinelli prior to this day has been frustrating to watch because he just gives up on his runs down the flank. And had we had Odegaard, maybe that helps a little bit. But at some point, the players have to take accountability and understand that we're not trying to, be in third or fourth place or maybe fifth. We have to aim to scoring more and to try to win the league. And now we also have dug ourselves in too big of a hole where it's not impossible, but it's gonna be hard to catch up with Liverpool.
yeah.
City are just not playing up to par to their standards, which is good.
For you, it's good getting points the last 2 weeks.
Okay, right. But my my point being is that it's a bridge too far now because Liverpool are just again a top side now with the new coach coming in. No
Yeah,
one saw this coming, and so it's just it is what it is. I think there's a difference. People didn't expect the coach slot to be that good coming from fine art, and Arteta, to his credit, or to be fair, we've had injuries or suspensions in all the wrong places. It seems like where this one last year we were rolling and not giving up as much goals. So we've hurt kind of defensively and offensively because Martin Odegaard is so good at tracking back as a midfielder that kind of lost that way of pressing
mm.
in a way because he does a really good job of that also. And I think whenever Odegaard's out, I think clubs have figured us out even more so than they had before.
Yeah, yeah. We take away a player of Martin Odegaard's undoubted quality, and I think Mikel Arteta's got to face up to the
Recruitment.
he's got to face up to the charge that he didn't put Nwari in there as the deputy for Odegaard enough times in the 7 games that Odegaard was out. You know,
Mhm.
when Trossard wasn't working, or when we used any other kind of creative spark other than Ethan one area in the Premier League. And look, I get it. He's 17 years old, but the most games he would play might be 7 starts in the whole season. Anyway, being 17 years old, um, wouldn't it have been the best for to give him that responsibility with Odegaard being out? And I know we're looking back now in hindsight, right?
Yeah, but right at some point, to me, whenever I see Nunari on the pitch, he seems ready. He seems up for a challenge.
Yeah.
And a kid that age is normally too timid and too nervous, and so we're not giving it a go. I think Arteta, I think in his mindset, he's afraid that the young players may just make a mistake that'll cost him the game. I honestly think that that's what Arteta is dealing with. I think he's just afraid to make a severe change like that and putting Anwari in there whenever they're fighting for a championship at that time. And now some people might think that's lost because he didn't gamble enough to put Anwari in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's got plenty of players around him to learn from, and if he makes a mistake, then so be it. You got to move. You got to move forward with that, and
Yeah.
I think that's where Arteta is afraid still. But sometimes you got to take those risks if you want to succeed in the Premier League, and
Definitely.
unfortunately, Arteta is still pretty hard headed when it comes to that. Not only him, but Miles Lewis Kelly as well. I think Miles Lewis Kelly has a lot of potential to be a good fullback for
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we
100%.
we let so many players like from an academy go elsewhere because Arteta has no faith in them, and he
Yeah.
should because the time is now.
The time is now definitely for Miles Lewis Kelly. I've got a lot of faith in him. That okay, he might be defensively, he might give up something here and there, but I think he's going to be a solid player for us moving forward. And Ethan Waneri, you can just tell the quality that he has from the 2 or 3 starts that he's had in the Carabao Cup, for sure. So yeah, listen, we're going to get into the game real quickly and talk about that, but just a little bit of context before we talk about the game. We have some injuries that hopefully will clear up, and maybe this interlull, because Tom asked the question earlier. It's a good time maybe to get that break, Alonso, because Declan Rice played with a broken toe. He might be able to help get that healed up. Odegaard will come on from this performance today, being able to play a full game, and Bukayo Saka limping off, and Kai Havertz had a reoccurrence maybe of that head injury from Inter Milan as well. So there's going to be a few players on the treatment table in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and if we're gonna make a run at it, this rate couldn't come fast enough. It seems like so. We have players who are hurt now. Saka maybe having a tweak from what I saw from we saw the game. I don't think it's that important to have players of that stature go on international breaks with their team. I think that it's too tiring and too exhausting for them. Um, I think Rice will skip probably, maybe Saka will as well, maybe Havertz. Um, and I know that our chief and academy kid, Tony, doesn't really like us sending our players over to our national team because he sees it as a waste. And to him, I think he's onto something because, like I think there's a comment on Ryan's channel that ever since Liba came back from France, since he had that screw up there playing for France, we've kind of given them a lot of goals, but I think that's not accurate. However, that's a good point, I guess. In a sense that these players come back tired and they come back not the same, I guess. And Udegaard getting hurt on international duty playing for Norway made it worse because he is our link-up play, I guess, with our forwards on attacking. Yeah. So, sometimes these League Nations games don't make any sense. Or qualifying games, whenever you bring our strongest players there, it just it messes up the rhythm, I guess, and it's just kind of a waste, in my opinion. Now,
Yeah, hopefully that Arsenal have suffered with these international breaks. Odegaard with that major injury in September, when the first international break, we've missed him in those 7 games that he's been out in the Premier League. Not to mention, Inter Milan, we could have used him there, and that's really it. We got by in some Champions League games and the Carabao Cup. Um, Declan Rice is not quite right, and Mikel Marino, I think they need a little bit more work on the field as well. I think Mikel Marino, it's been slow for him to understand how we want him to play, so it hasn't quite looked right yet. We're hoping after this international break that Arsenal will settle into a rhythm. As you said, Thomas Partey, so, some players need rest and recuperation. It strikes me that Thomas Partey is the only player that maybe needs games, a rhythm of games to be at his best. And I thought he played well again today in midfield, up against Caicedo, who was everywhere, being physical. Levi Colwell escaped with quite a few infringements and just
yeah,
got the one yellow card. I thought the referee, Michael Oliver, was in a mode of trying to control the game, you know what I mean, without sending somebody off. And sometimes referees come into games with different mindsets. And the one mindset can be just control the game, manage the game, and allow the players to be competitive, but don't make the big decision that you need to. I thought Levi Colwell was quite lucky at the beginning of the second half or halfway through the second half where he fouls Kai Havertz in the center circle as well. So, yeah, a couple of things going on there. We talked about Cole Palmer. Doesn't seem to turn up in these big games, but he was lively enough. He had a shot in the third minute saved by David Raya. And then I thought we settled into our rhythm in the first 15 minutes of the game. We had some good possession. 16 minute kind of annoyed me. The 16 minute, I mentioned Caicedo. You remember that bouncing ball that Odegaard and Caicedo were contesting, and
hmm
Caicedo barges into Odegaard, really testing his fitness and his durability coming back from injury. Caicedo would pick up a yellow card for that one. Then in the 21st minute, Alonso, Bukayo Saka does Levi Colwell on the right hand side. He's breaking away from him, and Colwell has to challenge from the ball, but he goes through Bukayo Saka in that action. He picks up a yellow card as well. Um, the penalty check on Colwell holding Gabriel Magalhaes, they never really VAR never really drills down on these things, and they have to start setting an example in some way, shape, or form, because players always hold other players by around the waist or on the shoulder. And we saw a perfect example yesterday at Anfield, Liverpool scoring that goal where maybe um, Bailey could have been sent off against Salah. So here we're seeing a lot of instances of referees not really doing their job. On 23 minutes, Gusto misses a header from a Neto cross halfway through the first half. 27 minutes, Saka is again onto his left foot. Yeah, here's the first chance for Martinelli, and that chance for Martinelli in the first half. Alonso, it's a Saka shot that's blocked, gets deflected to Martinelli. Martinelli, we want him to be doing better. I guess he's tentatively trying to just steer that shot on target, Alonso.
yeah, and that's part of the problem, right? Like, that's a player that has lost his confidence. You know, maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, he hits that, and I think 2 years ago he had a great season. And we need that from him more, and not to be afraid to use his pace. But yeah, later on in the game you'll see why he scores that goal. But yeah, I mean, I think he misplaces it, and I think he goes. to the right
He
post.
goes to the right. He goes to the right as we're looking at the goal onto Sanchez's left arm, and Sanchez is able to put his left arm out and save it.
Yeah, but I think the more and more he shoots, the more and more he'll get better at maybe get more goals in. So it's a promising start at that point, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, like you said, I think Chelsea are the most undisciplined team in the league right now. So any fan that knows should know that Arsenal should be able to attack those players in hopes to
yeah,
get another card, or
yeah,
a second yellow. But I don't know how and why Mike Carter doesn't drill that into the players that there's a possibility you get a second yellow for dissent or whatever the case
yeah,
may be. But we don't
yeah,
go after it enough. We don't try to get those players that are already
yeah.
getting booked
We need
again.
we need to know the play. We need to mentally know the players who've just gone into the book, right, for on yellow cards, and then we need to, concentrate. If it's a fullback, you concentrate your attacks down that side of the field more often than not. And you know, Cucurella, I think, gets a yellow card way late at the end of the game. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
he was fouling Bukayo Saka a little bit. Caldwell again lucky, and I think Michael Oliver is managing the game in this instance and in this game, not to have a high-profile red card because I think it looks bad on some referees. Well, Michael Oliver has sent off Trossard at Man City. He didn't want that kind of heat on himself again in this kind of a game. It strikes me, Alonso, that Marinelli's shot in the first half. Maybe he learned a little bit from that in the second half when he scores his goal, because the first half he has an opportunity to go near post. We see it on the replay. The near post is wide open, but Marinelli, as you said, coming back from lack of confidence, just tries to get a decent contact on it and direct it toward goal. Pretty simple save at the end of the day, but we'll talk about Marinelli then later when he does score that goal. Um, Martinelli. What I say about Martinelli, Alonso, is that if Arsenal are to have success this season, we know it's going to come from Saka. We know it's going to come from Havertz. We know it's going to come from Odegaard. But we don't know if it's going to come from Martinelli. So if Arsenal's going to have success, it's going to be how Martinelli fares this season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because defensively, we saw it against Newcastle and maybe it was Bournemouth as well, how, he'll get in a separate position to attack and then he loses the ball and he's forced to chase the player down who has the ball and he'll miss the ball and the player ends up scoring or giving an assist. And I think you've seen that far too often with Martinelli, is that when a player loses confidence, he ends up doing some things that you don't want him doing, like giving up on run or giving up on his runs or um, not doing enough defensively, like tackling and just giving up on the ball. Um, and that's led him to, I guess, be in trouble uh, on defensively because he can't track back fast enough because he's just lost and disappointed in himself. And it's become a habit now. Again, I want him to succeed as much as any other Arsenal fan. And maybe it's unfair to have a dig at him, but I think you're seeing Trossard do the same thing as well. He hasn't scored in a while, and I've always said that. I've always given an opinion that Trossard is better on coming off the bench.
Hmm.
I'd rather him come off the bench than stupid Gabriel Jesus because at this point in his career, Jesus offers us nothing. He just stands around there. Like today, he took a shot and got the ball stolen from him, and he just does nothing to try it back. He just is on the ground still,
Mm-hmm.
trying to recover. you
Yeah,
know, as an Arsenal, you don't need that on your team because again, that could have led to the other goal. A goal that I don't think we would have bounced back from.
yeah, 100%. And that chance from Martinelli came from a very quick turnover. From I think Levi Caldwell trying to clear the ball. On 31 minutes, Cucurella fouled Saka. I thought he could have went into the book there. A similar thing to Caldwell went into the book for on Saka. So what we're seeing is Saka breaking through. Coming from that free kick, Alonso is taken quickly, and Havertz looks like he's squirreled his way through a lot like Theo Walcott did many years ago at
Oh
Stamford
yeah,
Bridge as well, right?
yeah, because Theo uses his pace at that point. Theo Walcott will always often use his pace to get by defenders and all that. And it was quite cheeky too because most of the time he did just score or an assist.
Yeah.
Um,
So we thought Kai Havertz had scored there, sticking the ball past Sanchez, but I'm always cautiously celebrating these things because you want to see the replay and you want to see what the what the lines look like. And I thought immediately I looked offside. He was just closer to that 18-yard line than the defender was. Russ says Jesus needs to be replaced. Trossard too.
I
When you
agree.
go through this, there's still work to be done on this squad. When you look at players that we've brought in, um, even in this window, like Sterling, what kind of impact is Raheem Sterling going to have on this team? That has yet to remain to be seen what he's going to do. I know he came on in a Carabao Cup where we beat a very, very much lower team than us, 5-0 or something like that. Jesus is another one that needs to go as well. We have probably 4 or 5 players that are not of the standard we need them to be and can't help us when they come on the field. You know what I mean? Mr. Tom said, I remember the time Ray said I didn't invent football, which was an indirect admission that I might have done. I did. Mr. Tom invented football. There you go. Chelsea let Sterling go for a reason. Yeah, and Maresca looked at that team, that squad, Russ, and had to sort through 40, 50 players, however many they have, and let Sterling go for a reason. I think it's again a blight on Mikel Arteta. It's a little bit of a sentiment toward Raheem Sterling because they've worked together before. But yeah, listen, Mr. Tom, you put almost anything up there, I'll read it out for you for sure. All right, so Neto then gets a yellow card for dissent on that offside, Alonso, and we'd see a little bit of a skirmish between him and Ben White toward the end of the first half. Neto's a sly little player. Now, of course, rival fans would say Ben White is a sly little player, but he's our sly little player, you know.
Well,
Uh,
I don't think my wife's little, right? I think I
what?
think I don't think Ben White's little. I think he's like 6'1".
Oh, wow. I meant sly little player, as in just a little shit that none of the rival fans like Ben White, and that's why we love him. I mean, what was stopping us going for Neto or a player of that ilk? Russ, I feel like the owners did not want to shell out big coin this summer. I feel like there was something going on it when recent events with Edu leaving the club. I don't know if that had an impact on our summer as well. What was going on in the background? And furthermore, I'm not very happy if it's a former player who's going to be the new director of football. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be happy if it's Thomas Rosicky or Mertesacker. I think we need to get somebody in there who's experienced and knows what they're doing in world
See,
football.
I don't mind Marcus Soccer, because he's been with the academy for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a promotion for him.
Yeah.
He knows. So I think he knows more about Arsenal than Rosicky, as far as what we need and what we need to do.
Is he going to be able to do the job though, Alonso?
I think so.
Okay.
I have more faith in him than Rosicky, to be fair.
Okay.
Because I think with Mertesacker, he he was brought in with Arteta in a way, I believe, right? Wasn't he hired on the same time as Arteta?
Say that again.
Wasn't he hired on the same time as Arteta?
Rosicky was, I think we bought
I mean,
him coming out of one of the European Championships, 2006. We
from
bought him
Mertesacker.
from Mertesacker. Yeah, he came in the same window as Arteta. So that could be criticism of people who don't like the regime, that, Mikel Arteta is cornering for himself too much influence at the club.
Oh,
This is
right,
what will
okay.
be this will be levied against him. Mr. Tom said it feels like Chelsea knocked 100 grand a week off the wage bill and are thrilled to have done so. Yeah, I think they're happy. I think it was more than 100. We're the ones that are paying 100 and they're paying the remainder. I believe that's something that was in the contract. Hawkwin is in the house. Thanks for being here, Hawkwin. So, yeah, look, we see Ben White putting his hands on Neto, and it's leveled up at this point, Alonso, 1-1 on yellow cards between Ben White and Neto.
Yeah, I mean, at some point during these derbies, you're going to have yellow cards. And, you know, like I said before, Chelsea are a disciplined team for a reason. Um, they're very, very undisciplined, and I don't know why. But, Michael Oliver, to me, again, doesn't really call the match like we fans want him to. Um, but I think, to be fair, I think Ben White kind of deserved that yellow card, but it was kind of iffy at best, So
It's a bit like the one Rob Holding had on Sun a few years ago.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just the arms are up. He's put his arms into his shoulder. And what I hate about this modern game is, say defenders are in the corner of the field and they've got nowhere to go. They're being closed down and pressed. Anytime a hand goes on the back, they feel anything like that's not enough for them to go down. I wish the referees would just let the play go on. Like, all it would take is for a couple of defenders to fall down in the corner and the other player to go get the ball and let things go. Then that would change the way that they defend, because all they want to do is feel an arm on their back and they're going to fall down. The other thing that annoys me a little bit is the same thing happened with Jackson as well. So toward the end of this first half, he carries the ball quite well, as Mr. Tom would call him, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. Doesn't he do that, Tom? Hey, Mr.
Hey, everybody!
I play for Chelsea.
I'm Michael Jackson.
I play for Chelsea. I didn't score. And then Cuckoo had to come on and make points. Sterling's on 350 a week. We're paying 150 of that. No, I think Colonel, I think that Chelsea are playing the majority. They're paying more than 175 for Sterling.
Right?
So,
Are you Michael Jackson?
and my best Michael Jackson voice. Yeah, but listen, he draws a couple of fouls and he gives Cole Palmer a couple of chances on the edge of our box in a position that the commentators say is just perfect for Cole Palmer. Stone Cold Palmer.
Oh God, that punk has a haircut like Friar Tuck.
Friar Tuck haircut.
Yeah, man.
I love it. But yeah, criticism of Cole Palmer is he doesn't turn up in these big games. I worried that one of those two fouls was going to result in David Raya having to pick something out of his net. All right, so we go in. What was it? 0-0 at halftime, right? And I'm feeling like we got to make the breakthrough. We got to win this game. A win really was a must for today to get back into the race. Now, um, in the context of a whole season, like I said earlier, I can make my peace with this in the context of a whole season. Because if you take a draw at Stamford Bridge in the context of that one fixture, you'd say a draw away from home at Chelsea is not a bad result. But because we blotted the book in previous games against Bournemouth and against Newcastle, we really needed the 3 points today. But what can you do? The players go into the game with the best mindset to win the game. We put in a good performance and we come away with a draw. And that's all you really can't do. That's all you really can do is do your best for each and every result and see how many of those points stack up to get you closer to Liverpool to be first, second, or third. Ross Morgan, it is kind of worrying when we can't hold on to a lead. It's been now 7 games since we had a clean sheet. Um, Probably the whole time that we've missed Odegaard. We haven't had a clean sheet in the Premier League, and we can't hold on to the lead at all. Chelsea will pay what I tell them to pay. Yeah, especially if they were going to take Rafinha. That sounds like some Rafinha talk right there. We go into the second half. This was kind of stupid, Alonso. Remember we talked about Arsenal players doing stupid things. And I thought Havertz, Caicedo was an irritant to us, but he brings to the attention, I think Cucurella and Caicedo bring to the attention of the referee that Kai Havertz is bleeding, and due to, obviously the rules put in place, the player's got to go off and have the bleeding be stopped and get bandaged. Kai Havertz delays leaving and argues with the referee. It's a stupid yellow card at the end of the day, Alonso.
Yeah.
He's bleeding. He's obviously got to go off,
Yeah, and that's something that I don't understand. I think the referee sometimes you ask yourself whenever I watch him referee, right, and there's an injury or whatever, he takes his time to at least blow a whistle
Hmm.
or at least check the player to see if he's okay.
Hmm.
I mean, I noticed that about his demeanor
Yeah.
whenever he's refereeing,
It's too much.
and it just doesn't make any sense sometimes. But sometimes Arsenal, they're right. They do not so smart things and gets them in trouble.
Yeah.
And as long as you argue with the ref, then why he's going to give out dissent. And it doesn't really. I think it comes from them not getting cards themselves on the opposite team. So you're going to argue that, right? Well, how come we're not getting the calls? And they should just walk away and just let it go because you're gonna have to at some point, and there may be a reason why like referees do dig Arsenal out, and argue conspiracies and why it is. Um, and I know who does the most is Jesus does a lot. Whenever he's in that area of attack, he'll dive, and we all see it. And he expects a card or at least a talking to from the referee on the opposing player.
Yeah.
And I think unfortunately some players pick up on that, and I think that's why we don't get the calls sometimes because referees know that some players will do that.
I think what happens in every game, like the first 10 minutes of a game, sets the tone. If the players know, oh, this ref is going to let certain things go, just by the game playing out. First 10 minutes, there's a challenge. The ref's either going to blow it or let it go, and then the players know the line because the line varies a little bit, you know. Um, but yeah, the Havertz. I mean, I don't agree that Trossard was stupid. Like people accuse Trossard of being stupid against Manchester City. That's something that you're doing in the course of playing the game. You're clearing the ball. I think we've been unfairly treated by some of the referees, but also we have to be more clever as well and not argue about a situation where, okay, you might not know that you're bleeding, but you're being told that you're bleeding. You need to go off and get some attention. And again, this interlull is going to be good for some teams and bad for other teams. Maybe Aston Villa and City who have struggled, and so a little bit like us, Nobody's talking about Unai Emery or Pep though, because they're Unai Emery and Pep. Nobody's complaining too much about them. But if Mikel Arteta drops some points, then that's people. The whole media are going to be talking about it. So maybe the break, the interlull, will be good for them. It might slow Liverpool down a little bit as well. We can only hope. Liverpool keep winning. So yeah, listen, Caicedo was involved in that incident with Kai Havertz having bloodied head. Jackson fouls Gabriel Magalhaes on the sideline. We get a free kick, and here comes the goal, Alonso. We're able to work. I'm shouting at the TV screen before the goal comes because I see lots of overloads on the left-hand side, and they continue to develop the play on the right-hand side between Thomas Partey and Odegaard. And I actually feel like Odegaard's going to feed Saka or Ben White down the right-hand side,
Yeah, and I think in that moment, we were seeing Arsenal finally attack in the way that we should want them to, right? And I think you're seeing, I guess, the defense going to sleep. Granted, I saw in the chat on Ryan's channel that Sanchez did a poor job of trying to defend or defend the goal.
Yes.
However, I think when a guy like Martinelli has a lot of talent on a pace like he does, I think he's just trying anything he can to get a goal in to boost his confidence, and it worked. And fair play to him for taking that chance.
Yeah. He didn't snatch at it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm happy that he did that, but I think what happened was the team was just content on just getting that one goal because that's the last time you'll see them attacking for a while, up until the final seconds of the game. But I'm sure we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, I'm glad for Martinelli. You can say he put a good game in, but still, if he doesn't get that goal, then we're about to be on zero. But I wish we won today, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we had that 1-0 lead, and sometimes it's very easy as supporters to say, just shut up shop. You know what I mean? Just get defensive and have. But I also wanted us to go get the second goal. So my prediction today was that we would win 2-1, and we very nearly came to that point right at the end, which of course we'll get to that. Marinelli, I think, informed by the first chance that he had in the first half, was able to take that cross down from Odegaard. Odegaard picks him out with a beautiful cross over the top of the defense. Caldwell, once again, Caldwell is playing everybody on side, and he takes it down, takes his time, and finds the inside post between the post and the goalkeeper. And Arsenal 1-0 up. I'm waiting for the offside check, and we're all good there. There's no issue. And then 65th minute, Timber breaks forward into a central area, shoots wide. It reminded me, that Martinelli goal reminded me much like last season's Trossard the Trossard equalizer last season at Stamford Bridge as well. That was a cross from Bukayo Saka to the back post. And then what Chelsea have been doing recently is bringing Enzo on for taking Lavia off, and Enzo coming on, Mudryk coming on, and Madueco off. I thought that we had the upper hand at this point because we were obviously a goal up. But as we mentioned earlier, Enzo finds that soft spot just outside the box for Neto to drive into.
Hey Ray,
Mm-hmm.
give me a second. They're about to say Pledge of Allegiance on NASCAR, so I'm gonna go off for a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to finish up here anyway in a few minutes. So if you come back, you come back. It's all good, but won't be too much longer here anyway. We're all talking about Pep catching the ball, the fraud, disease from Ten Hag. Gary has a big game coming up in American football as well. So Gary's portfolio of Gary's sporting portfolio is not performing very well. So I do hope that he's a little bit more sad tonight because the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be taking on the Dallas Cowboys, who, if in American football parlance, Dallas Cowboys are very similar to that team down the road from Arsenal. That's all I will say on that one. They even wear the same kind of colors. A white color, like the kind of you put something white on your flag when you want to surrender. So yeah, Gary's going to have a little bit more misfortune tonight. Yeah, I think Mr. Tom. Although it's in Dallas, the Eagles should have enough to beat them there. So Gary's going to be just a little bit more sad. I think his Florida Gators yesterday did not do too well. Arsenal, we want Arsenal to make him happy, because when Arsenal make Gary happy, they make all of us happy, and that's important. You know what I mean? But yeah, listen, 1-1 with Chelsea, and just to finish out the last few minutes of this game, 75th minute, Jackson. 75th minute, Jackson. I was just talking about Gary possibly being a little bit more sad tonight with the Philadelphia Eagles, Alonso.
Yeah, I hope Tom is right on the bet tonight. Because yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, Cowboys suck.
Put Saquon in for 100 yards, let's say, tonight, right?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Hopefully it's
Will
good.
Will Saquon do a triple somersault over a linebacker tonight?
He'll do a triple somersault and a backflip and a butt tuck uh, against Marco Parsons, and I'll be seeing the Eagles song all night long.
Wow,
Anyway,
Florida Gators
and
lost that one.
I hope Martin Truex Jr. wins his last race tonight as well.
Is it the last race of the season?
Yeah, his full time career.
Wow.
After tonight, he's not going to race full time, and he starts number one on the pole as well.
Hmm. All right. Lead show is at 9:30 UK time. That would be 4:30 Eastern time here, and 3:30 your time, Alonzo, and 1:30 Pacific time. So go check out Tom. I'm not sure if what happened to Leeds, that they win. I know they're third in the league right now. They probably did win because they've had some misfortune in recent weeks, but they're going to get it back on track, I think. So yeah, Jackson goal offside. I was quite confident it was offside. Cucurella gets a yellow card on Saka only after Saka hobbles off the pitch, and we'll see how Saka goes in the next 2 weeks. But it's going to be another international break where we're wondering about Bukayo Saka, and he needs a little bit more protection, I think. Then the nerves set into me a little bit, Alonso. 83 minutes, and we know we have 5 minutes of added time as well. As a fan, every scenario goes through your head, right? It could be a draw. It's really great to win a game late on, but it's the worst to lose a game like that in the last seconds would be the worst as well, right?
Yeah, it's to have the lead majority of the second half and them scoring gives them hope. And then if they would have scored, it would have been a backbreaker. For their season.
Yeah, because the the Arteta outers are coming out from underneath the rocks these days as well. And this is not something that's going to keep them happy as well. As Arsenal fans, are we happy? No, we're not happy. But look at the bare facts are we've lost 2 games. We've drawn too many games already. We've drawn 4 games this season. And something I've been critical of Liverpool over the last few seasons, they've drawn too many games. Well, they're not drawing games this time. They drew with us. We've only won 5 games. And so we need to start stringing a number of W's together. And we know that these first 12 games, 11, 12 games have been against big teams mostly for us. So the next 7 or 8 games, Alonso, we're going to play. Admittedly, Nottingham Forest have been good, but I think they might be on the downward slide. We're going to get Nottingham Forest when we come back from this interlull. And then we're going to play teams like Crystal Palace, Ipswich, Man United, Fulham, and teams that we should be taking care of. Because I'll tell you what, you dare not lose a game or drop any points against teams in the bottom half of this table.
Yeah, but I know in the past, um, it's always those teams that kind of give us the hardest time. And we kind of know that in the past, it's not a given that we beat those teams. We remember Southampton 2 years ago. Um,
Southampton.
Crystal Palace,
Yeah.
Bournemouth, and those teams always give us the fits.
Yeah.
Brentford,
Right.
so those teams we never should take for granted, but the end up either drawing us or beating us by two by 2 goals.
Well, this can't happen this season, Alonso. Like I said, we played almost every team in the top half of the table now. We played almost most of them in the away from home. We've been to City, we've been to Aston Villa, we've been to Chelsea now, we've been to Bournemouth, we've been to Newcastle, we've been to Tottenham. So there are better days ahead now, easier games ahead, and this team needs to take these 2 weeks now to heal, get better, get fitter in some situations, get some rest in some situations, not go on international duty and come back ready for a fight, because the Liverpool are going to play teams like Everton and Real Madrid and Man City coming up in their schedule. There's an opportunity to reduce what is now 9 points down to 5 points, I'd say. Well, by the end of the year, if we get within 5 points of Liverpool by the new year, that will have been good damage limitation for me.
Yeah, even Russ and I asked Russ and Stan last night on my watch along, what was their expectations for today? And I remember Stan said that he was iffy on it, and I remember Russ had said that it'd be a draw, it'd be okay with the draw, but I think all Arsenal fans wanted that win today. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. My best hope is that Arteta figures it out, and he can. It's just kind of discouraging at times because it's what his 5th year in the league as an Arsenal manager.
Yep.
You would think that he'd have it figured out by now, and sometimes you got to question these signings as well, right? Because it just kind of doesn't make any sense to me. but we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully, some players get rested, some players just
Yeah.
pass up their
The
innocence and just move on.
the difference in the team with Odegaard in it is amazing. I think we've changed our formation to over early doors when we lost Odegaard. We changed our formation, and we're going to get out of here in the next 5 minutes here. We changed our formation to get some results against Tottenham, especially, and Man City. We seem to settle into more of the way we play right now in the last few games, but without Odegaard's influence, and we definitely have missed that. There are teams out there who are suffering with injuries. Man City are suffering with Rodri, and it's showing. Liverpool have injuries as well, but they have players who can overcome those injuries. Alisson's injured, but there is an Irish goalkeeper, Quaving Callagher, who's very, very good for them and doing well for them. So we'll have to see what happens. The season is, for me, the season is continues. After the Interlull, it's got to be all guns blazing, and we move forward. We're getting wins. Alonso, real quick, who's your man in the match? No, who would you nominate for your man in the match today? Odegaard, Saka,
I would say Partey.
Partey was extremely good today. Yeah,
I think people take him for granted. I know a lot of people doubted him when the season started. But I think he's kind of understands that he can't really make that many mistakes, and his leash is very tight. Um, Listen, he's always been that player that's always been hurt when we needed him the most, and thankfully he hasn't had the injury spell that I think we've all expected him to have by now. So it's a credit to him, and I think that if it wasn't for him playing right back or midfielder, we would not be we kind of where we're at right now. I think if he's not healthy, then we lose points. To be honest with you, Ray.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think to me, our best player, if not one of the best, was Thomas Partey.
He's definitely carried us in this part of the season when we've missed Odegaard. Declan Rice has not been £100 million player, and I was talking to Stan, and Stan was not confident for today. But I think Trossard nicks the ball away from Havertz in the 95th minute, right at the end of the game. So unfortunately, we haven't just been getting the rub of the green in these last few games. And they always say in any Premier League season that you're going to have a rough patch, and I think maybe this has been our rough patch. So yeah, we have to become the hunters now, and we didn't hunt very well today against Chelsea. We'll take the draw and move on and see if it's enough at the end of the season as well.
Yeah, because every point matters. And like I said, I think we had the players that I think if I were to me, I think two players would go off, sell them as soon as you can. But besides that, I think we got a good team. It's just a matter of them just connecting and understanding the mission and, kind of have confidence in themselves. Because this is a good team, right? And I think when we have Calafiori come back and also Moreno playing up to his standards that we all think he can, I think it's a different team. Once they're all healthy, even Tomiyasu as well. So we had a depth. It's just that right now we're not clicking. And I think once we start getting clicking and adding players potentially in January, I think it's a different team.
Yeah.
And I think having Odegaard, being out for so long, I think that's one of the main components on why we're at right now as a club. And that being said, I hope that things get better before they get worse.
Exactly. I agree. We just haven't been clicking. Mourinho will come back better, understanding our system a little bit more. I think he's the one player It doesn't quite look like he fits in with the team right now. Um, I agree with you. We just have not been clicking in the last few weeks, and I believe when we come back against Nottingham Forest, we will start a run that will look a lot like we were in the spring of January, February, and March of this last season, where we were cooking. We were cooking teams 5 or 6-0, at times as well. And we have a schedule of games in December that means that we're going to need to start doing that as well. Start exerting some pressure on Liverpool. And on the flip side, a lot of these big games that we've been playing now, up till now this season, we will be playing them at home. The big teams will have to come through the Emirates as well. Man City, Villa, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Bournemouth will have to come through. Arsenal as well in the new year. Lonzo, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to let you and I both go so we can watch those Eagles decimate the Dallas Cowboys and have a little tear in Gary's eye form. Right?
Yeah, go Eagles.
Go Eagles. All right. Thanks everybody for watching here. A good performance. Not the best result in the end of the world. We're going to have to add the 1 point to the pile. I'm still in mind of sacking Arteta. Listen, you can feel that way, but just know the club probably won't do anything about it till the end of the season, at least. But yeah, we're going to have to play this one out, Colonel, and see what happens. Arsenal fans, scream for domestic cups. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if it remains to be true if we can grab one under Mikel Arteta. But we gotta let it play out. Alonso, thanks for being here, and thanks for all of you watching. Slap a like before you're out of here, all you slags, and take care until we see you on the next one.
See you
Goodbye.
guys.